Well, hello, you zoologists out there. It's Mrs. Coli. I'm back with here. I'm back here with you again for our final lesson on how to finish, or what we call publish, a nonfiction book. And we're going to be reviewing just really quickly a term that I taught you yesterday, and it was called endangered animals. The word that I'm discussing right now is the word endangered. I thought we could use some of our prefix and suffix and root word skills that we learned not too long ago and try to understand the word endangered. Maybe we don't know what it means. So I told you, when you're a word detective like that, what we need to do is find our base word, which is danger. And danger is actually, it's a Latin word that means to be in harm. And then you can see it does have a prefix. N is a Greek prefix that means within. In or within means and. So that's your prefix, and then the ed means it's past tense. So this means it's in harm. So it means it's within harm. And it's happening in the past. So truly, if an animal is endangered, it means there's serious harm being done to it within its species, almost to the point that it could go to extinction, which means it will no longer exist on our planet. And we never want that to happen. Just like our dinosaurs have gone extinct, except for just the crocodiles and some of those other reptiles that were able to survive. So what we need to know about endangered animals is, first off, we need to always be mindful of them and try to do our part to help save the whales or save those endangered animals. And so what I thought we could do right now is just start to explore the concept of, is my animal that I've chosen endangered? And then you can focus on trying to help figure out what can you do to help your animal not become endangered. Or maybe your animal's not endangered, but you can maybe learn about some animals that are. So let's find out what it means. If in a Webster dictionary, it means it's likely to become extinct in the near future, either worldwide or in a designated location. So you're going to be finding out if your animal just lives in a certain area, like the panda, the giant panda, that would be just one location. And on the Asian continent, there's locations there, and it would just be where that animal lives. We also need to know that endangered animals, it might not just be animals, they're species too, which would take into account plants, animals, trees, and that could even be insects, like butterflies can go extinct. So a lot of things can go extinct. Now, what causes that? What do you think would cause our species to go extinct or become endangered? Well, such things as a loss of habitat. And where can we think of places where an animal can lose their habitat? Well, I can think of the rainforest as individuals are going in and cutting down trees. Those poor little animals, they don't have their home anymore. So that would be an example of one experience or one type of an endangerment or almost possible extinction. And I'm going to be talking to you about a large tortoise that just about went extinct too, for the same reason, where they're being poached or they're being taken and they're killed for different reasons. That could also be the African elephant. A lot of people like to kill them for their tusks. And it says also that other species might be dominating them and they just can't compete against their competitors. Okay, so how many endangered animals are there in this world? Well, the answer is 96,500 species have been assessed as being critically endangered. And more than 26,500 of those are threatened with extinction. So this is a real big problem in our world. And so it's good to be aware of things. That makes us a great citizen when we're aware of the world around us. And then we think, what can I do to make a difference? And so this is just one of those many things that you could possibly do to make a difference in the world and save a whale or save some other animal. These are the type of animals that are truly that are endangered with the potential of going extinct. 40% of our amphibians are on the red list, or the endangered animals with critical needs. Shark and rays are at 31%. Mammals are at 25%, and birds are at 14%. And you would actually have to go in and research a little bit deeper than what I did to find out what specific animals make up these percentages. Okay, so you are going to become an expert on your animal, and that's something that you will need to include in your book. I mentioned to you not too long ago that there is a tortoise found in the Galapagos Islands. It was hundreds of years. It was in 1811 when it was first discovered. And this species of a tortoise just about went extinct. But we're going to find out what almost caused that extinction and what stopped it. So it says, once thousands of these huge land-dwelling reptiles lived on a group of islands about 650 miles west of Ecuador in South America. So plentiful were they that the islands were named Galapagos, the Spanish word for tortoise. So that island was actually named after this giant tortoise because there were so many of them. But this is not the good part. In the early to middle 1800s, the Galapagos Islands were a popular stop for whaling and other ships. The tortoises not only provided a large amount of meat, so they were eating them, but they were also easy to capture, because can a tortoise run away from its predator? No. It is estimated that between 1811 and 1844, or what we say 1844, more than 15,000 Galapagos tortoises were caught and taken aboard ships as food. This is a sad story. This was not the tortoise's only problem. Rats from the ships came ashore and preyed on the eggs and the hatchlings. So once the ships were docked, those rats, I guess, went down the ropes, however they tied off their ships, and went ashore and were eating the eggs and the babies. Not good. But in 1959, the government of Ecuador took steps to protect these humongous but gentle creatures. So notice when people become aware of things, they try to stop it. And they come up with a plan to fix it. Problems and solutions are important in life. And so they did. And a lot of things were put into place by 1970. And as far as right now, the Galapagos tortoise is still considered endangered, so it's not off the list. They're still watching it very closely, which is good. Okay, so where might you be able to go to do some fantastic research on your animal? Well, this is one website that I found. It's called animalfactguide.com. And then it has a search bar right here that you can go and type your animal's name in, and it will pull up pictures and some facts that will help you as you need to finish the rest of your nonfiction book. So I thought I'd share this address with you, and you could even type in and see the different endangered animals that are on the list, and it might be able to even tell you if your animal is on the list. So anyways, I can't guarantee it, but if your mother, notice I said have your parents help you find online information. If you're not able to gather it here, your parents are great as researchers, and they can help to train you where you might want to go next if this website doesn't meet your needs. But just make sure that your mom or your dad sits by your side and they're watching you as you are searching things online. It's just a good safety thing to follow. Awesome. Okay, next page. Let's go back to our table of contents. This is the book that we're working on. We're almost done too. So close. Today we're going to be working on Chapter 3, the life cycle. So as you're researching, if you don't already know, you would want to find out, well, what's this life cycle of my animal? Because you're going to want to show a cycle as a circle. So you're going to want to say, what does it look like as a baby? And then as it's just a youngster of sorts, and then as it's an adult. So we need to at least have 3 things, if not 4 different stages that your animal goes through as it goes through its cycle in life. The next thing that you need to finish would be, let's see, yes, Chapter 4, Life as a Baby and Adult. So as you're researching, you're going to need to compare the sizes and weights of the baby versus the size and the weight of the adult animal. And also, you're going to want to write down some of your favorite interesting facts that you are able to find on your search. Okay, so this is what it might look like. I just used regular spiral notebook paper, and I dated it, and I wrote what I was doing. Maybe I was going to study about koala bears. So as I was reading my information, I was thinking about it. What did I just learn? And then I would take my thoughts and write those down on paper. So you can see my thought process and my learning as I was researching more and more information. I learned such things as koalas sleep 18 hours each day while resting on branches. I also found out that they eat eucalyptus leaves for about 5 hours each day. They spend 5 hours eating their food. Also, I found out that koalas were a certain type of mammal called a marsupial. So that would be important to make sure I wrote when I was classifying my animal. Koala bears and cough drops smell like eucalyptus leaves. And why would that be? Because they eat eucalyptus. There are 100 trees in a koala bear's territory, so it's teaching you about what would its habitat look like. It would have 100 trees or so. And why? Well, because they like to jump from tree to tree. So their home changes, I guess, as they're jumping around their trees. Oh, they're also nocturnal. And a baby is called a joey. So you would want to list that. What is the name of the baby if they have a specific name? Like prairie dogs are called pups. Bear babies are called cubs. And we just know that we learned that marsupial babies are called joeys. And they're born blind and hairless. It stays in its mother's pouch for 6 months. The mother takes care of that baby. So make your facts very interesting so that it's something that you would want to share with others. Then this represents what those pages might look like. So you can see I did my chapter heading. So I said Chapter 3, Life Cycle, and maybe I was working on a frog's information. So I started at the top and I drew what the egg looked like. You can see they're jelly-like eggs, and I put egg, and then I made my arrow kind of in a circular fashion. The next stage in the life cycle of a frog is the tadpole stage. Remember, this is an amphibian. It goes through metamorphosis. And so, yes, it's now going through its first form of life. It's like the larva stage, and it's called a tadpole. It has a tail and has gills. Then as it starts to get a little older, so a young frog, you can see it's now starting to grow some legs. It still kind of has the remains of a long tail, but it's starting to shrink. And the gills are starting to change to lungs. And then you have your adult frog, and it has its full legs and lungs. So if you could draw something like this, awesome. That would be just what we're looking for. Then you're going to do Chapter 4. You're going to say life as a baby and adult, and it's basically a T-chart. You're going to compare the baby versus the adult, its size, which would be its weight and length, and what kinds of foods that the baby eats versus what the adult eats, and then what is the baby's covering. Like for some whales, they actually have hair on them, but as an adult, they're hairless. So you want to compare what does the baby look like versus what does the adult animal look like. And last but not least, it's going to be Chapter 7. This is when you would take some of your favorite facts from this page and just write with your very best handwriting some of those interesting facts that you would want to share with your family and friends. Okay, that's what we're doing today. It's not too much. You can handle this. I know you're going to do a great job. And then once you finish your book, you've got it published. Remember to go back and write your pages down in your table of contents, and then your book is now published. You are ready to present your nonfiction book to your family and friends. Try to summarize the most important details about your animal. So when you're presenting something to them, you might want to say something like the way this student wrote their kind of like a summary page, or had some notes to themselves that they would use while they're presenting. Sorry, bless me. Excuse me, all of those. Okay, Siberian tigers. So you're going to take all of the facts that you've learned and you're going to want to make maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs just helping your reader to know, or the people, your audience members that you're sharing your book with, some of the most important things. If they could only hear just a couple things, what would you want to share with them? So they would be considered the most important details, like the animal's habitat, the size, and probably its prey. And you'll find that the student that wrote this followed that same format and created a nice kind of a summary or a way to highlight their particular animal. And this is what they said. The Siberian tiger has a reddish brown coat with black stripes. It is almost 5 feet long. It has a really big head and a long tail. Notice they used exclamation points. Its tail helps it balance when it climbs through the mountains. The habitat of the Siberian tiger is the mountains of Russia. Russia is a country in northeastern Asia. The Siberian tiger is one of the largest cats in Russia. Siberian tigers are carnivores. They mostly eat deer, rabbits, hares, and salmon. Sometimes, if the Siberian tiger is feeling brave, it may try to kill a brown bear for its dinner, or for his dinner. That is very dangerous because the brown bear is large and will often try to fight back. Awesome. Wasn't that a great summary of a report? So that takes all of your pages that you've been researching and studying, and you just summarize it. So if somebody just had a couple minutes to hear what your book was about, then you would have something like this that you can share it. And as you're talking about it, you could just kind of flip through the pages. That helps with the presentation process. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I had fun teaching you about endangered animals, how to use your researching skills to publish and present a nonfiction book. I can't wait to see your book and hear you present. I know you're going to do an awesome job. Until next time, boys and girls, remember to be both researchers and writers. And you can't forget presenters. You're going to do a great job. Until next time, bye-bye.